everybody. Welcome to an Around the Ropes YouTube exclusive right here. I'm John. As always, I am joined with Carl. Carl, how you doing tonight, buddy?
Doing great. Can't wait for this interview.
Yes, and guys, in a couple of days in Toms River, New Jersey, it's going to be the Mega Independent Show. I think it's a good way to put it. As Contest of Champions will be happening, where you'll see guys, as it's seen right in the background there, icons like Sting. You're going to see Sgt Slaughter there. Matt Cardona will be there. Brian Myers will be there. And one of the guys in charge of this whole operation is on with us tonight, Donald Bucci. Donald, how you doing tonight, sir?
Very good, my friend. Thank you for having me tonight. I'm honored to be here. I've been doing a ton of press, and this was one of the ones I was looking forward to. I'm glad you guys asked me to do it, so let's have some fun.
Totally. We appreciate having you on, but let's get right into it. Obviously, your brother is Nova, he's one of the headliners on this show. It's his retirement match. As his brother, I mean, you've seen his entire career. How does it feel that Saturday is going to be his last time as an active in-ring wrestler?
It's so crazy because we did a pretty big event last year in Lacey Township, New Jersey, and quite honestly, I thought that was going to be it. We did a big show with the Blue World Order on it, and I remember coming to him at the end of the night, and he was very non-committal. He said, well, I'm not going to say this is it. So I kind of had the feeling that he had some unfinished business, and the unfinished business pretty much was that he wanted to go out the same way he came into business as Nova. And I totally get that. The BWO was awesome. It's one of the coolest factions of all time. But he wanted to end the same way he started. And when this idea for this event came up and we started brainstorming and putting it together, I asked him, I said, what about your last match here? And he thought about it for a week or two and then got back to me and said, yeah, I think I want to do it. And then we just ran with it from there. It's incredible, man. It's to think that my brother's last match is going to be in our hometown and that guy right there on the poster is going to be part of it is just I can't even put it into words, man. It's just insane. On a scale of 1 to 10, it's about 100 because this should not happen. There's no way in the world this event something like this magnitude should ever be able to be pulled off, and we'll get in depth to it, but I'm so excited. I'm happy for him. I'm happy that he gets some closure.
Carl?
So the big question I have is, how far in advance did you start planning this?
I would say the first idea to run an event, you got to understand, we're not running in a tent. We're not running in a VFW or a bingo hall or something, a little barnyard somewhere. This is a major arena in the state of New Jersey. It's one of the biggest arenas we have as far as population-wise in a town. It's a real arena. So I actually first thought of running something here many, many years ago. I went to see Jay Leno there when it first opened. And I said, man, this would be cool to do a wrestling event here, but there's no way I could pull it off. It's too big and the scale is too grand. And then for this specific event, it fell into our lap right after we did the event in Lacey. I had a friend of mine named Sean McHugh, who incidentally enough was one of my partners years ago when I promoted, and he's the president of the 200 Club of Ocean County, New Jersey. So he approached me and said, hey, I want to do a benefit for the club, and we got to find the perfect location. So one thing led to another, and we were able to secure the building. And what's funny about it is we actually have the rights to it, like kind of exclusive rights to do these events. We want to do more, how we're going to work for several years. Awesome. So we're going to see after this one, see how everything goes, and we'll take it from there. But that's how it fell into our lap, man. So the actual planning for this, like pen to paper to begin this process, was probably around 8 months ago, maybe even close to a year.
Now, obviously, like I said before, there's a laundry list of who's who. Obviously, the biggest name is the one who's currently right behind you as we speak. Other than Sting, is there another name on that poster or another person on that poster that you're pitching yourself like, how the hell did we pull this one off?
For me personally, the fact that we have Jerry Lawler and Sgt Slaughter on the event is crazy because I'm 50 years old. I don't know how old you guys are, but I'm 50. And I can tell you
43.
There you go, bro. But there weren't too many bigger pop culture phenomena when I was growing up than Sgt Slaughter. Sgt Slaughter was literally one of the biggest things in pop culture with G.I. Joe. We're two of the biggest G.I. Joe fans on the planet, me and Nova. So G.I. Joe and the Iron Sheik. Yeah, there you go. Sgt Slaughter, all that. Like, we were huge Sgt Slaughter fans, still am. And the reception he's got has been off the charts. And for me, on a personal level, when all the years I promoted, I did a couple events that Jerry was on, but I never got a chance to book or promote or really work with Jerry Lawler on an event. So on a personal level, to have Jerry Lawler on the event, it's just crazy because I consider Jerry Lawler, along with the gentleman on this poster, to be on the Mount Rushmore of pro wrestling. I mean, it's Jerry Lawler, guys. It's crazy that Jerry Lawler, Sgt Slaughter, and Sting, and that's not even the two biggest celebrities we have in the event are Todd Frazier and Frankie Edgar. And that just puts this into a whole nother stratosphere. Like, there's wrestling events, but then there's this. And those two catapulted this from an independent wrestling show to a must-see cultural event. We made this a happening. Once we added Todd and Frankie, it just, pinch me. We have a UFC legend and a Major League All-Star. It's crazy, dude, that these two are on this event. And they couldn't be easier to deal with or more ecstatic to be part of it. And I can't wait. They're going to be awesome.
Especially when the former Major League Baseball player played for the Mets and I think the Yankees as well.
Yes, he sure did. And he was the one who came to me and said, listen, I really want to be active on the event. I want to do something. And he's a big Jerry Lawler fan. And once he got wind that Jerry Lawler was going to have nobody in his corner going against Rick Ratchet, who's one of the legends of independent wrestling. If you know anything about the Indies in the 90s or early 2000s, the Nature Boy Rick Ratchet is just, phenomenal. And he has Mark Carluzzo in his corner and Prince Nana. Everybody knows Prince Nana. If you know anything about wrestling, there you go, bro. Mark Carluzzo should be a name that's familiar with her. His dad was Dennis Carluzzo. And Dennis worked for years for Jerry Lawler down in Memphis.
Yep.
So this story kind of wrote itself. And then Todd came and said, listen, the King needs to back up. If it's cool, I would like to be in his corner for the match. And I reached out to Jerry and I asked him, and Jerry said, of course, Todd Frazier. So that's how it happened. Crazy, right?
Yeah. Oh,
I was going to ask you how the heck you got Todd Frazier, but you already answered my question on that one.
Yeah, he's a hometown guy, Tom's River native.
And it's fitting.
Yeah.
But also, too, I'm seeing a name you got here that I haven't seen in a while perform, me personally, and that is JTG. How'd you get him? JTG is very good friends with Nova. And Shad Gaspar was also. Him and Mike were very good friends. And one of the vendors on this event got the chance to sponsor and bring in JTG, and I told Mike about it. I don't know him. I never met him. I hear great things. But Mike said absolutely 100%. If there was one of the guys I would love to be at my final event, it's him. So he's going to be there. Really looking forward to that. It's going to be a real gathering of men and women who deserve this kind of spotlight. And a lot of them, they don't take it for granted. They know in the world of independent wrestling, a lot of it is garbage. A lot of it is terrible. But if this can be a beacon of hope or like an oasis out there that these guys can aspire to be on, that was our hope for this. And I think we've done it. Because the phone was ringing the last 30 days, man. The phone and the emails have just been nonstop. Just with guys wanting, please, can I get on the show? I'll do anything. I'll set up chairs. I'll sell popcorn. I'll rip tickets, whatever. But, you can't book everybody, but I think we did a pretty good job of including as many people as we can.
Now, I know one of the other guys performing, you're actually basically having the founders of WrestlePro and CreatorPro.
Crazy, right?
In a 6-man tag match. How did that all come to fruition?
It's amazing. I asked Nova point blank. I said, "What do you want to do for your final match?" And he said, "Well, I have a few ideas. I'll float them out there." So I think he went on some interview. I can't remember who it was, and they were asking him about a bunch of names, and he mentioned Brian Myers and Matt Cardona, that they were two of his employees years ago, two of his understudies, his proteges. And he said, listen, that they've done really good for themselves. So they heard that interview, and they contacted us and said, listen, if Nova's going out, we want to be the ones to put him out. So, all right, lo and behold, I said to Nova, you got to, if you want to do that, we'll make it a tag match. Let's get yourself some partners. And the first person he reached out to was Frankie Kazarian. A lot of people don't know this, but Nova and Frankie Kazarian started together out in Rick Bassman's UPW in California as a team called Evolution, which was one of the best teams ever on the independents. I know because my team, the Backseat Boys, Johnny Cashmere and Trent Acid, had probably 100 matches against Mike and Frankie all over the country, and they were awesome. So he called Frankie, and then Pat Buck stepped up and said, hold on a minute. If my guys are going to be in that match against Nova, I want in on it. So then Nova had to get a third partner, and he reached out to his other partner, Aaron Stevens, Damian Sandow. Mike and Aaron were partners down in Ohio Valley Wrestling for a long time. So that's how it came about. They put it all together. And if you just look at that match, those 6 guys in that match, every single one of them is a main guy. Like people don't realize how awesome of a wrestler Pat Buck is. I mean, if you know, you know. And Cardona and Myers are still killing it. Aaron Kazarian's still killing it. Aaron, in my opinion, I can't even believe he's not on somebody's TV every week. It's crazy. I mean, the guy's one of the most talented people I've ever seen in my life. So we'll see what happens after this show. I hope that maybe that can change for him a little bit.
Underused.
It's criminally underused. I always say
he's underused.
The Ms. Dow thing, when they had that, they had him. They had it right in their hands, and they let it slip away. But it happened.
Carl?
But you also have big names out there. Mr. Nick Aldis.
Crazy.
How did that transpire?
That is so nuts. The way that the last couple of weeks for Nick has been phenomenal. I think Nick, and I don't know Nick, I've only talked to him a few times, but he's incredibly great friends with Nova, another guy who, once it got out there that we were doing this out into the ethos, he contacted us and said, I need to be on that event. I love Nova. I've been him and his wife Mickey. Mickey James actually started with me years ago. I had her on Phoenix Championship Wrestling. So I mean, I've known her forever. They're both friends with Mike, and he said I got to be on it. And then everything started happening with Nick, and he's literally right now the hottest free agent in pro wrestling is Nick Aldis, without question. And he's coming for a fight, man. The guy, he's fighting Sean Donovan for the heavyweight title. And I'm telling you, for those guys who don't know, Sean is not going to lay down in the middle of the ring like a cupcake. Nick's coming for a fight, and he said, I want to fight, and that's what he's going to get. I mean, yeah, Sean's the real deal.
That's a dream match come true.
It really
is.
That's
a wet dream match come true.
I think, mark my words, I think on Sunday afternoon or Monday after the show, when the people are recapping it and talking about it, I think that's going to be one of the 2 matches that completely steal the show. All the matches are going to steal the show, but I think that's one of the 2 that people are going to be talking about the most.
I could see that. I mean, I've seen Nick Aldis before. Unfortunately, I've never got a chance to see Sean Donovan. Yeah, and actually, even though Sean has been a guest on the show before, but there is one name I do want to get to, and he's kind of been in your background, is Sting. How did that come to fruition?
This is nuts. And again, like if you had a bottle, a shoot genie bottle, and you rubbed the bottle and got 3 wishes, you could probably use one of the wishes to get Sting on your wrestling show. That's kind of what we did. When we started putting this event together, obviously, like last year when we did the event in Lacey, I had Mark Henry on it. And Mark is phenomenal, Hall of Famer. One of my new favorite. I met him for like 5. I didn't know him. He's friends with Nova forever. But once I met him, I felt like I'd known him my whole life. and we hit it off, became good friends. He did the event. But when we came for this event, I knew that we couldn't just come in with the same guys you see floating around the indie scene. I knew we had to come in with some firepower, and I knew we had to make it special. So we added a couple of guys up front, and then we got Jerry. We got Sgt Slaughter. Excuse me, the other guys, and then I said I need that ace. I need that centerpiece. And one of the guys who works for me on the side, he said, you know what would be cool, man, if we could get somebody like Sting. And I looked at him. I said, well, why don't I just call the Pope and see if he can come down? Because, you know, we probably have the same odds. But I have a few mutual friends that are friends with him and that know his agent. So we placed a couple of calls, and it was a vetting process. He wanted to see what we were all about. The main thing that drew him to this event was the 200 Club, the organization that this is for. The 200 Club supports the families of fallen law enforcement, police, and EMS. Police, fire, and EMS.
He's big with that.
Exactly. He got a hold of that. He looked into it, checked it out, checked us all out. And one thing led to another, and we started putting pen to paper. And I think it was the first or second week of September, we closed the deal, and that's him right there on the poster. Crazy, dude, right? I don't know. Maybe you guys know more than I do, but I can't think ever of Sting being on independent wrestling. I don't think it's ever happened.
No, I think this is his first one.
Yeah, he does meet and greets here and there, but he's never done a meet and greet and then appeared. So to me, this is a first. It's incredible. I'm honored that he chose us to be his first. You know, I'm a huge Sting guy. I just love the concept of Sting. That he's a guy who was at lowest points of his life and found God and turned it all around, and now he's an inspiration to the boys. There's as many fans probably in the back that night in the locker room that there are in the audience of Sting. And by that, I mean every single one of the boys on the show has already asked me, hey, think I can get a picture with Sting? And I think that's so cool, man. To me, that's so cool.
Yeah. What
he is
done
a true icon.
Yeah.
That is a perfect way to put it. One more match I want to look at before we get into you with your wrestling stuff is the flagpole match, which will be Rick Recon versus Blaze Haram. Now, I know that's been a match that's been done before on Independence, but I have a feeling that's a match that's going to be talked about that people are going to really like.
I hope so. Like I said, I don't really know much about today's crop of indie guys that are. I know a handful, and I know some of the guys who I consider like the top tier, the Graysons, the Rep, like some of these guys, Anthony Green, all the guys in the 6-man. But I don't know a lot of the like other levels of indie guys out there. But these two guys stood out. They've been having a feud, I guess, all over the place. And Chad, my partner on this, Chad Menez, he said, listen, we got to have this match, man. It's going to be awesome. Whole match. And so, yeah, I mean, both guys seem up for it. It should be great. And I think the fans are in for a real treat. I'm looking forward to it because I don't know much about those guys.
I've seen a couple of I've seen Rick Recon in person, and I've seen a couple of Blaze Haram matches on YouTube. And Blaze Haram is somebody who can get instant heat real quick.
That's what I like. I feel like today, and just since I got back into promoting a little bit, I watched some stuff here and there, and it seems like most of the guys who were supposed to be heels are too worried about going out there and being cool, and they're just afraid of heat. I don't get it. Like, most of these heels are just afraid to get real heat out there. That kid doesn't seem to be afraid of heat. Rick, I think, is a pretty good babyface. I know he does a heel thing here and there all over, but I don't know. There's something about him, like kind of a rock star kind of thing. I think he does, and I'm looking forward to it, man. I think these guys, if they go out there and just get your heat, man. If you're a heel, get heat. You can't get over as a babyface unless you have, without Darth Vader, there's no Luke Skywalker. So I don't know why these guys are afraid of heat.
Well, I look at it this way. As much as NWO was a legendary faction, in WCW, they kind of made it cool to be the bad guy.
They did, and that's why they were different. They were the first ones to kind of do that. I think had they reeled it in a little bit after a year or two and just went back to being more heelish, I think they actually could have mined that for a little longer. I think that was one of the downfalls is once everybody wanted to be in it because it was cool, then it's no longer cool. So I think that was one of the mistakes they made. I would have cut back the membership on that, and I would have made them be a little more dastardly. That's what I would have done.
Well, right now, to me, the one that's a true heel, if you can call him that, is MJF.
Absolutely, 100%. And I don't understand why. If everybody's that kid's phenomenal. I've never met him. I'm a huge fan, but I don't know why more people aren't doing what he's doing. You know, he's living the gimmick, doing it perfect, 24 hours a day. Like I don't understand why more people aren't taking a page out of his book and approaching it like he does.
Because you said it before, people are afraid to get heat nowadays.
They are. They're one thing. Again, I'm 50. I'm a little older than most of the guys probably watching this, but I don't understand why some guys are a certain character or gimmick, and then 5 minutes later they go on the internet or Twitter or Facebook, and then they are something completely different. It's so weird to me. I don't understand. I mean, maybe I'm a little old school. Like I love the fact that the Undertaker was the Undertaker until the very end. I like guys that live the gimmick, and I don't understand why you have to go expose everything to everybody online or I don't get it. But and again, I have no dog in the fight, so.
Carl?
I also see here, you're just looking at the Fan Fest. You have a multi-promotion Rumble.
Yes.
How many participants in that Rumble?
That's a great question. I wish I knew the answer. No, I honestly do not know. From what I believe we're going to do that day is the plan is to pick out a lot of the standouts from the Super Camp that represent their various promotions. So it could be, I would imagine it's probably going to be about 20. Once you start going more than that, it's just a recipe for disaster. I mean, you start putting 35, 40 people in a ring, somebody's going to get hurt. So my advice that day when they start planning this out is to kind of just pick the best of the best from the camp and have the different promotions represented, and then we'll see what happens. We'll see who the winner is. Maybe they'll be on the nighttime show.
Now, you mentioned the camp. Obviously, the camp is not open to the public. The camp is before the Fan Fest, right?
Well, here's the thing. On Friday night, we actually have the building for 2 days. So on Friday night, what we did is the ring is going to be set up and everything by the early afternoon. And we've actually put it out there. If you've ever wanted to try wrestling or you want to see what the business is like or just see if you have any kind of skill for it, that's when we're opening it up to the public to come on Friday night. I think it's from 6 to 10. Try it out, see if it's for you. And if it's for you, we're going to direct you to one of several wrestling schools that we have. Most predominantly is going to be WrestlePro around here. I think they're the very best in New Jersey. That's my own opinion, so don't kill me for it. I think WrestlePro, and I think the results speak for themselves. But Kevin and Pat and Brian Myers, Kevin Matthews, Brian Myers, Carter, they're killing it up there. So if I was getting in the business today, that's where I'd be going. If you live down, who knows? You got guys coming from Maryland.
You have two.
What was that?
Yeah. But in Jersey, you actually have two locations that are phenomenal places. You got WrestlePro, and you also have Monster Factory.
Yeah, I mean, Monster Factory is cool. A lot of guys have come from there. If you live down in South Jersey, and that might be a little easier for you to get to, that's cool. I haven't talked to Dan in a long time, the guy that runs it, and I wish him well. I just don't have any dealings with them. My dealings and what I know and who I know is WrestlePro. So if somebody asks me my opinion, that's where I would tell them. But there's nothing wrong with Monster Factory is cool. If you want to go there, cool. But I just can't tell you what it's about because I don't really know anything about it.
I'd also like to put over their ring announcer, who also is one of our co-hosts. who I don't know if you. One of our co-hosts is Ryan Peterson, who's also the ring announcer for WrestlePro.
Oh, really? Oh, cool. Yeah, they're great, man. Then I've seen him before because I've been to a couple other events.
So
I just
that's why I
love
said-
everything they do. Everything they do from top to bottom kind of prepares you for the business the right way. Like if you're going to be on TV, they run a tight show. It's really well done. Kevin Matthews does a fantastic job with that. I don't think he gets enough credit, but I mean, the guy brought wrestling back to Alaska, for God's sakes. How do you do that? That was impressive. Yeah, but they're awesome. I think to me, I think they're the premier company in New Jersey. That's my own opinion.
But I know. So then you have the camp that's Friday night. So then what's going on then as far as Saturday?
That's for the general public, like I said, Friday night. Saturday, the real fun begins at 8 a.m. From 8 to 3 is going to be the super camp. And that's what everybody has signed up for. I believe there's 75 people signed up for it.
Wow.
So what we're going to do is break them into groups, and you're going to get blocks of instruction with finance, diet and fitness, life after wrestling. All these topics are going to be covered, and then we're going to start having tryout matches and drills throughout the day. And that's what the scouts are going to be looking at. The guys from Impact, ROH, NWA, NOAH, all New Japan, all these guys that are coming to scout talent, that's when they're going to be watching.
Then there's gonna be that hour break.
Correct.
Between the camp and then the fan fest.
Correct. And the fan fest starts around 4. We'll see how we're doing. Everybody's piling in. We'll get them in there. We'll switch over to the fan fest. That's going to run probably till around 7:30ish, maybe 7:45, and then we'll start the show promptly at 8 o'clock.
And obviously, folks, if you haven't gotten a ticket yet, I highly recommend you do. I don't know what you're waiting for at this point. But, Donald, if let's say you have somebody who's watching this and they have not gotten a ticket yet. First of all, like I said before, I don't know why they're waiting. But how can they get tickets? And are there any tickets still available?
Yes, they are. We're gonna leave them available. I've always said I never understood, like some people say, oh, it's sold out. And then you look on the next day or so, and complain that they have 100 empty chairs or something like that. But to me, I always like to leave tickets available. We're going to leave them available right up until the day of the show. You can get them at the box office also. But I recommend, I think we're only down to around 50, 60 floor seats left. That's it. So if you want to ensure yourself with a seat that night, a floor seat, jump on that. The rest of the seating is going to be bleachers and then standing room only. So you can go on Eventbrite. I know all the floor seats are on Eventbrite. If you go on there and just search standalone wrestling, you'll see it pop up, Contest of Champions. On all our posters, the phone number and the website is there, and all the advertising. That's also where you can get in advance your packages to meet Sting, your photo ops, your autograph packages. We've only made a few of those available. There's a few I think they were called Stinger Splash package and Legends package or something. There's only a couple of those, and I think a couple of them have already sold out. So my recommendation is, and again, Sting's only signing during the Fan Fest, and then he's appearing on the show. So I don't want anybody to come to me right when the show starts goes, oh my God, I didn't get Sting's photo. He left, because you're going to be disappointed. So get on there. If you buy it in advance, you're guaranteed to get your Sting autograph and photo. So my recommendation, if you want your photo, what's cool, you can get your photo with Sting, and we have the ability to print them out almost instantly, so that you can have them autograph it too, which is awesome.
Wow. And folks, like I said, you're not going to want to miss this event, because the other match also that we forgot to mention, we will see our first Retromania champion, as Warhorse is taking on ECW legend and one of the hosts from Busted Open, Mr. Tommy Dreamer.
So cool, man. We're big video game guys, as you know. Nova and the BW are in Retromania. So when we started putting this show together, last year what I did, I brought a full-size cabinet to the show and let people try it out. They got to play the game. It was such a huge hit. I started talking to Mike Herman from WrestleMania, RetroSoft, and I said, hey, I want to do something this year even bigger and better. And he said to me,
what about if we had a match with guys from the game? And I said, well, what do you mean? He goes, what if we had a match on the show sponsored by Retromania with guys from the video game? And I said, you know what? That's actually brilliant. I said, Mike, why don't we do one better? Why don't we have the match for the very first Retromania title? And it could be a title for you go across the country, you face other guys that are in the game, or it just get to the championship. I said, I bet kids would love it, and it's really cool, and it's tied directly to a video game. The first title ever that I can think of that's tied to a video game. I've never seen it before. So that match is going to happen. Dreamer versus Warhorse.
No.
And as I sit here right now and talk to you guys, I have absolutely no idea who's going to win that one. I want to watch it as a fan like everybody else.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting match, to say the least. But, Carl?
I mean, every match that you have in there, I mean, you got one hell of a talent coming in for one of your matches is Danny Moff.
That match, when I said before to you guys about there was going to be 2 matches that everybody was going to be talking about, if you look at that 6-way scramble match, I challenge any booker or promoter, whatever you want to call a matchmaker, to find a better 6-way lineup in a match than those 6 guys. I don't think it can be done. And I've seen a million of these scramble matches, and most of them contain guys that are horrendous. But the 6 guys in this, every single one of them is a main event guy. Every one of them. Dan Moff, LSG, Ant Bennett, Anthony Green, Miles Hawkins, and Alec Price. Any 6 of those guys could be in the main event on an indie show tomorrow, and half of them could be on television this week.
And what's funny about that match is I know Moth and LSG have had a rivalry over in WrestlePro for their title.
Yeah, they've been feuding all over the place, and LSG is one of those guys who I think 2023 is kind of going to be a real chance for him to get out of the shadow of a lot of other indie talents that are out there. He just needs something. He just needs a break, or he needs, I don't know what it is, but this is the kind of match. The winner of this match is going to be on the lips of everybody come January 2023. That's my opinion, because I don't know if you guys saw this or not. What we actually did for this, I wanted the winner of this match to have something special. So we actually created the very first, never been done. This has never been done before. We created the very first Skywalker Championship for this match. And what it is, wait till you see the belt. It's one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. We're going to debut it the night of the show. But the concept of this title is whoever wins it, it's theirs. They can defend it. They can go anywhere in the country, anywhere in the world. They can defend it on any promotion. They don't need my permission. It's their belt. They can defend it in any kind of match they want at any time they want. Once the belt leaves Tom's River, it's wherever it goes, it goes. But it's never been done before where a championship has literally been given to the winner, and they can do whatever they want with it, which I think is so cool.
But now, is it gonna be now? Because I know you said before about you want to, there's possibilities of doing more of these down the road. Is it possible to have the Skywalker belt be defended?
Absolutely. Absolutely. What's going to happen is not just here, anywhere. Like if let's say, for instance, Anthony Green wins this title and he brokers a deal, or we broker something for the title to be defended in Noah or anywhere else that Anthony wrestles. He can defend the Skywalker Championship on somebody else's show. It doesn't have to be ours. That's the cool part about it. If a promoter calls up and says, listen, I have Anthony Green on the show against Carl. Do you mind if we defend the title? You don't have to ask me. The belt belongs to the champion. So like I said, it's a shoot. Once it leaves Tom's River, whoever the champion is, I think one of the cool things about this title was you'll be able to follow it all over the country and see where it's defended. It could show up in California one night, and next week it could be in Maine or down in Florida. That's my hope, is that they do it that way. That's my goal for this championship. And if we have the event next year and it comes back our way, it's by me.
But guys, like I said before, you're not going to want to miss this event, because also at the Fan Fest, you're going to see a lot of vendors there And we will even be there as well. The Around the Ropes podcast will be live there. We'll be doing a show live that night. So you definitely want to come by, say hi. And you never know who's going to appear on the show because, like we said before, there's a laundry list of people who are going to be there. So like I said, you never know who's going to appear on this show.
Exactly.
But Carl, do you have any more questions?
I'm actually out of questions at this time.
But Donald, again, thank you so much for hopping on tonight. We appreciate it big time.
Yeah,
You guys,
it's been fun. I'll see you guys on Saturday. Like I said, we'll get you some talents lined up to do some interviews with you. And then, like I said, go out, everybody. Just have a good time Saturday. We'll see everybody then. And it's been fun.
Yes, again, guys, for Donald Bucci and Carl Roberts, I'm John. This has been another Around the Ropes YouTube exclusive. We will catch you guys on the next one.